Hello and welcome to my channel, CaitMakes, the channel where I make things. For today's project, I am going to be replicating some items from my closet that are old, out of style, worn out, or somewhere in that realm, but that I love. So if you have some items in your closet that you love, but no longer fit your style, or need some altering, or you just want to replicate them, this is the video for you. You and I are going to figure out how to do this today, and I am super excited to get into it. So hope you enjoy, hope this is helpful. So let's look at these specific pieces and I'll show you my plan for what I want to do with them. Okay, so first of all is this skirt. It is a one-of-a-kind skirt in my opinion. I have never found another one that is cut the same way. It has been worn so many times. Honestly, I think it's probably over 10 years old. I still love this skirt. The brand says Better Be. It wasn't a nice brand or anything. It was definitely a bargain skirt. This is my go-to date night skirt. It just makes me feel amazing whenever I wear it. I'm not sure how well you can tell, but the back is elastic and you can see that it's just crazy worn out. It's just doing that thing that elastic does when it is very, very tired and it wants to be put to rest. So there are threads and all kinds of things, you know, kind of falling apart. There are these tiny little belt loops that used to be here, which I never used. The main unique thing about this is the cut of the skirt. My plan for this one is to completely remake it because I need to fix the waistband anyway. I am going to be taking the whole waistband off, so that way I can just more easily copy this and make it a pattern, and then I will be putting it back together. I'm still going to be wearing and using this skirt, but I'm just going to fix all the little things that are wrong with it so that it can continue to have another, hopefully 10 years, who knows? Who knows? It's a magic skirt. But my plan is to do that, to fix this one, and then mainly to copy the cut of it and everything, make myself a pattern, and do it in this beautiful red fabric that I got. It has a bit of sheen to it. It's a little bit silky. I think it's going to be so, so pretty in this cut, and it's going to be my new favorite date night skirt for sure. Although I will always love this one, and I am going to still wear it, but a new version of it sounds fabulous. And then I have two other ones. I have these shorts, which are sort of shorts, sort of a skirt. These were honestly probably purchased around the same time and have survived my mini closet purges and style changes and everything. And to be honest, I was very much over this print probably a year or two after I purchased them, but I have continued to wear them just because I love the way they look. In the summertime, they're just so light and breezy and still feel pretty like a skirt, but just have the added comfort of being a secret short. If you can tell, the fabric has all kinds of snags. I mean, they weren't a super nice fabric when I bought them, and it has all kinds of, you know, mistakes and errors in it. They've had a very long, good life, and I have kept them just because I love the shape, like I said. So I really want to just remake these in a new fabric, and that fabric is going to be this orange. The fabric is not identical, but it is really similar. It's similar in weight, it's similar in texture. I think hopefully it will give an extremely similar look to this one. So that's my plan for these. So my next one is this little like skater skirt similar to the last shorts. I've completely stopped wearing this because for whatever reason I just really don't like this print anymore. I did wear it a million times too, so it could just be that I'm sick of it. I don't know. I never ever put it on, but it did get a lot of wear, and every time I've done a closet purge I just cannot get rid of it because this kind of skirt is so nice to wear in the summer. It's light and breezy and easy to wear, easy to pair with a bunch of things, and you can put whatever kind of shorts underneath it. Like, it just fits well and it's a good shape, and I would like to still have it, but not in this print. I'm just not super happy with my fabric options for this, and I really only want to pull from my stash. If you haven't watched my last video, it was me making over this whole space and organizing my fabric and everything, so check that out if you haven't seen it, although you're, you know, getting a very large sneak preview at this moment. But anyway, I really want to diminish my fabric stash a bit. It has gotten too large in my opinion, so I'm only pulling from there for this video and for these makes. This is really like a jersey material, and I have absolutely no jersey fabric in all of that fabric that I have over there. So it will turn out slightly different, and I'll probably have to do either a zipper or a scrunchy waistband, which, you know, is not the best. Options are either this yellow cotton, which again would be very fun for the summer, or leftover denim from my Sabrina Carpenter dress project. If you haven't seen that video, check that one out. That would obviously make this a much like stiffer version of this skirt, but I think it could be really cute. So we'll see. So that is my plan. It is currently Thursday afternoon, and I'm hoping to have all this done by Saturday since I'm going out of town on Sunday. So kind of under a time crunch here. Now it's time to try and make some patterns out of these and get started on the actual sewing. Let's go. I'm going to show you how to make a paper pattern from your existing item. I'm not going to do this for all three just to save time. I plan on doing it after the fact, but for the video, I'm just going to do it on one so you can get the gist and hopefully see how easy it is. I say this having never done this before also. Hopefully me doing it for the first time on camera and showing you will prove to you how easy it is and that you can do it also. Basically, my channel is just encouraging you that if you think that you can do something, most of the time you can. I think the most common thing with sewing is that people are intimidated. It seems intimidating, it seems scary. If you just go for it, I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised. So this is going to be an example of that. Okay, so I don't want to mark up my desk, so luckily I have this like desk pad and I've turned it around so that hopefully I'm just marking on the cork and not on the other side of it. But I have a roll of like butcher paper here. I bought this off of Amazon when I first started sewing. I think it will last me nearly forever and it has come in handy many times. So I've just rolled it out here. I'm going to be using this little rotary tool with the little pokey edges. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this out as flat as I can, and then I'm going to roll over any of the seam lines to make this pattern piece. So, zoomed in so hopefully you can see that it's just made this little indentation, these little dots, so that you can cut out the exact pattern. So this is the back left panel, so I'm just going to write that on there. So I just wrote which panel it is, and then I put what I'm going to be calling the entire skirt, which is just skater skirt, because that's how I think of it. So in case this piece of paper gets mixed in with other patterns or something, you still know what it belongs to. And now I'm just going to cut out what I traced. Now remember that this does not include seam allowance, so maybe we should do that as well. Okay, so I put add seam allowance as well, so that I don't forget. If I come back to this at some point, who knows if I will remember. Okay, voila, there is one panel, and I'm going to do this for every seam line that I see. Actually, the other thing I want to write on here is where the back center seam is, just in case. Basically just mark anything that you think you might forget or that you think could be useful that you learned from your original skirt. So for this, I don't want to waste the paper. I know that the back left and back right are going to be exactly the same but opposite. So all I'll do for this is just do the back left panel exactly like this, and then to do the right panel, I will just flip it over and that will be the right side. I could write that here, but it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not gonna forget that. So there we go. There are two back panels, and then I'm going to do the same thing for one of the front panels. And the same thing for this one. The right will be flipped on the center seam. And there we have our four panels. And I'm glad I traced all of them because I do think the back ones are slightly smaller. Yeah. Okay, now we need the waistband. So there's a seam allowance on each side. And then since this fabric is so thick on the waistband, I think the easiest thing for me to do will be to just measure from seam to seam. And since it's a stretchy fabric, I'm going to be really careful not to stretch it as I go. Okay, so that's 13.5 inches long. And there will be two of those for the front and back. And then for the width, It is 1 inch with seam allowance, so the width will need to be 2 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and add the seam allowance in on this pattern piece. So I'm going to do it at 14, and then we want it 2 inches with seam allowance. I'm changing my fabric choice for this one. Since this skirt is made completely of like 4-way stretch fabric, in order for me to just copy this pattern, I really need to use a 4-way stretch fabric. If I didn't, I would have had to at least double the length of the waistband fabric, and then I would have had to increase the top of each of the panels too, so that the overall length matched the waistband. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, my apologies. We're not doing it that way anyway. We're going about it an easier route. I didn't think I had any 4-way stretch fabric, but then I remembered that this was hiding in my green stash over there. I got this at Joann's in the remnant pile for super cheap. I love... It's funny that I decided to do my green eyeliner today because I'm about to say I love the color green. It is a fairly small amount of fabric, but this is a fairly small skirt, so I think that I can make this happen out of this, and then I can just exactly copy what has been done here. I don't have to make any adjustments because I'm using the exact same kind of fabric as it was originally made out of. So should be easy peasy, which I am very excited about. So I'm gonna get this laid out and make sure that I can cut this skirt out of here, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna work. I've folded my fabric in half with the wrong sides together, and I can just cut it out and I will have perfectly opposite pieces. Okay, I'm going to add 1 inch onto the bottom so that I have plenty of room here. All right, so we have our pattern pieces cut out, and now it's just time to sew them together. So since I'm using 4-way stretch fabric, I need to keep that in mind for how I'm putting it together. So if you only have a sewing machine, you can just do a zigzag stitch, or there are a couple other options. Give it a quick Google, but zigzag stitch is the easiest and what I used to use. Now that I have a serger though, I can just go straight in with my serger and sew it together that way. Just to make my life a little easier, I did a basting stitch on the front and back center seams to put it together, but for the side seams, I'm just going to pin it together and go straight to my serger. Okay, so I went ahead and did the center front and then the center back seam, and now I'm going to put my front and back skirt together. Okay, now that we have our skirt put together, yay, so easy, oh my gosh. I slipped it on really quick, fits great. I think the waistband is going to be perfect. I do have, luckily, the perfect size elastic here so that this fits really similar to how the original was, where the elastic and the waistband are nearly the same width. So next I'm going to serge the waistband all along the bottom to make half of the channel, and then we are almost done. I'm gonna get these two things done really quick, and we're about to have a super cute little green skirt. I like this because I'll be able to wear it as like an athletic skirt too, which is really nice, so score. So as you can see here, they just have all of the raw edges here on the inside, so they didn't turn this waistband out or anything, so I can just sew it wrong sides together and have the same result. Okay, now I have a long waistband tube here, and I'm going to go ahead and put my elastic all the way through. Okay, elastic is in. All right, I have the waistband pinned on with the seams matching on each side. Let's hope it lines up perfectly as I serge it. I'm in a new outfit, but it's the same day. I finished the green skirt. I ended up doing a rolled hem with a double seam line. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but that worked out great. I had some issues with my machine earlier. I had to like clean it and take it apart for a second. This sometimes happens. Okay, so first things first, I am going to unpick this entire waistband. So I have the waistband removed, and this is the front and the back, and I went ahead and put little pins while I was going to mark where they had gathered on the skirt so that I'll know where to gather mine so that it is hopefully exactly the same. And then I did the same thing on the skirt, and I just put a pin at where the gather started and where they ended. If you're not saving your original project, then you don't have to spend so much time gently unpicking. I mean, still be very careful where you're cutting. You want to keep it as true to the original as possible, but you can be a little less finicky if you're not trying to save the original garment. So now that that is done, based on the seams, I can tell that this is two different pieces. There's just side seams on each end, so I'll just need to copy the back piece and the front piece. Okay, so what I've done here is I've laid out my fabric. For my red fabric, I went ahead and folded it in half so that I can make sure that both ends of this very unique cut are exactly the same and made opposite immediately. That'll just make it easier in the long run. Then I also folded my skirt so that the two side seams are together. I put the part that is on the fold here to match up with my new fabric that's also on the fold there. And then I am just going to cut along this line here, and then I will cut up where the side seams were. So really just try to lay this as flat as possible to make sure that it's really replicating the same shape. I am going to leave about 1 centimeter of seam allowance all along the edge, especially at the bottom. This is important because you need to leave enough fabric for you to do a rolled hem without losing the length. And then the same thing with where this middle line is, you need to leave yourself seam allowance here as well. So cut about 1 centimeter past wherever that side seam is. Okay, I think that's as good as I can get it. Now we have the back skirt. Okay, and since I have to replace this elastic no matter what, I am going to go ahead and trim it off. Now we have our waistband. I have went ahead and folded this over in half since that is how the waistband was constructed, and then I'll also need about 1 centimeter of seam allowance on each side and then also along the edge. So this piece of scrap seems to be just big enough, and I really like this fabric, so I don't want to cut into my bigger scraps if I don't have to. Okay, so now I'm just going to trim up any discrepancy. All right, that looks pretty even. There we have the front of our waistband. And now for the original skirt, they just had a piece of elastic, but I don't have red elastic, and I also just don't love that look. So my plan is, for this one, since I don't have more of the polka dot fabric, I'm just going to be encasing an elastic in black fabric. But for the red, I can just make basically a channel of red fabric that I can slip an elastic into. So next up, I'm going to go ahead and serge all the edges of this just to get it taken care of before I start putting the front and back skirt pieces together. Next up, I'm going to work on the front waistband. I've just folded it in half, and I'm going to sew along the bottom. I'm going to roughly match the gathering from the original skirt. So I have my front skirt here, and then the original front skirt where I marked where the gathers started and ended roughly. I'm going to do a gathering stitch along the entire top of the skirt, but I do really like the original skirt design where the gathering was mainly in the center and it faded out on the ends. So I want to make sure I have that roughly marked on my skirt so I know how to replicate it. So glad I did these pins earlier. Then I'm just going to put a pin in that same place on this side, and then because I highly doubt I did it perfectly even on the original skirt, I'm just going to do the same place based off of that one on the other side. It's nearly the entire length, but there are, you know, 5 inches or so on each side where I won't be gathering. That actually worked perfectly, so now I'm just going to sew it in place. So far, my review of just remaking an item you already have is 10 out of 10. It's going so quickly and easily. Absolutely recommend so far. As a reminder, I've never done this before, so if you haven't done it before, you could absolutely do it. I don't know what I'm doing, and look at it. It's just coming together like it's nothing. Easy peasy. And voila! I need to remove a couple of the gathering stitches that are still showing, but that looks fabulous. See you in the morning to finish off this very pretty skirt. Day 2 of these projects. I left off here last night as you saw, and now I'm going to be working on the back half of the skirt. So I need to figure out my elastic channel back waistband and then attach it to the top of the back skirt. Basically, I need to take the measurement of like the widest part that it's going to have to go over, most likely your bum. For me, yes. So I'm going to take that measurement, and this has to be at least half that. I'll probably give myself a little bit extra because elastic can make up for a lot. So for me, 38-ish. So I'll probably go ahead and do, let's do 42. Let's make our lives easy. That seems about right. So the full circumference of my waistband needs to be 42 before it is scrunched up. So if I'm doing half of that, then we need 21 inches at least. And that's without seam allowance, so I want to add a bit more. So I'm probably going to add 2 inches to that just to be safe. So I'll go ahead and do mine at 23, and I'm just going to do it this exact same width that I've already measured out and just add length. All right, just fold it in half and sew it quickly. Now I'm going to do this thicker elastic, roughly half my waist measurement minus an inch or 2. And then seam allowance will take some of that out. I'm going to be using tried and true safety pin method. Okay, I think that will do great. Looks pretty. Now I'm just going to attach the waistband and the skirt. All right, unfortunately, I somehow didn't get the back skirt as wide as the original. I've compared it now, and it's a few inches short of what it needs to be. So unfortunately, what I have just done does not work in order to get it over my hips and everything. The way I did the waistband would work perfectly, but the skirt itself just doesn't have enough fabric. Should have double checked the measurement, but it's okay. There's an easy solution to this. I am just going to put in a side zipper. But yeah, I am going to make a paper pattern out of this, and I'm going to make sure to trace my original skirt and get it all ironed and flat and just be a little bit more fastidious about how I do that to make sure that all the measurements are correct and everything. I'm going to go ahead and get my serger back out and serge any leftover unserged edges like on the waistband and on the edges here. And then I can put my front and back skirt together and put the zipper in, and we are very close to being done. Okay, it is officially looking like a skirt. I have both sides together, the zipper in. Now I just need to hem it and it's ready. I did slip it on quickly and I'm so excited to show this to you guys. I am gonna do the reveal of all of them at the end though, so stay tuned if you wanna see how this one looks on. Ooh, so excited. Okay, listen. I was going to do it in the orange, and I still think that these shorts would be super cute in the orange, and I'm going to put it on my, future to-do list. However, I did discover that I have basically this same kind of fabric, that same texture and everything, but I have it in black. It is like a scrap piece. It's a little bit sketchy, like they definitely barely fit on here, but they do fit, and if they were in black, I would wear them so much. It would just go with so much more than with orange. I'm going to go with the ones that I will wear more because, like I said, I love these shorts. I would love to be able to wear them all the time if I could. I'm gonna go with that. Sorry, beautiful orange fabric. You live to fight another day. I will find a project for you eventually. Okay, let's give this a try. Should really be able to see now how damaged this fabric is. It just has, so much wear and tear. It just no longer looks nice. So it was sad taking them apart, but truly this fabric is way past the point of where you should be wearing it anymore. So yeah. Okay, I went ahead and pinned everything together just to make sure I was positive I knew how it all went back together, because shorts can just look a little confusing to me, but they are together. It all makes sense. So I'm going to sew all these seams together, and I'll catch back up with you when I start to work on the waistband, and then this just needs some pleats, and I think it's going to be a really quick one actually. I was kind of nervous about doing the shorts just because shorts seemed more intimidating in my mind, which is usually how intimidation goes. It's usually easier than I expect it to be. So yeah, I don't think this is going to be too bad at all. The thing that really saved me, that was really simple actually, is I just put 2 pins on each of the back pieces, so I knew which were the backs, and then I could easily tell which ones were the front and where they would connect, because they only connect one way, but the front and back pieces look extremely similar, and that would have been very confusing for me. And I did the same thing with the corresponding pieces that I cut out. I did this same method of like 2 pins together on the back pieces. So if you do something similar, definitely make sure to mark your front and back pieces, just because it can get confusing once they're all, in pieces like this. It could be anything. So yeah, catch back up with you soon. So I finished my shorts yesterday, which I will show you at the end of this video. I'm very happy with how they turned out, although I did realize that I didn't have a black zipper. So they do have a white zipper right now, and I don't live somewhere where I can easily go to the store. It's like 45 minutes away. So I will be replacing that, but probably for the reveal, they'll still have the white zipper. It doesn't look terrible, but I will be replacing it with a black zipper eventually. Anywho, I ended up finishing all 3 skirts in just a couple of days, and now I'm all set to go out of town tomorrow. I'm really surprised at how quick all of these projects were. Definitely 10 out of 10 recommend duplicating items that you have. Highly recommend starting with some skirts. These were all super simple projects, and I'm so excited about all of them. I hope you took something away from this. I tried to do each one slightly different. So the one I took completely apart and used it kind of as pattern pieces. This one I created the paper pattern pieces, And then the other one I kept mostly together and just kind of laid it out, cut out the fabric that way. So depending on what you're working with, I think one of those methods will work for you. Let me know if you'd like to see more videos like this, and I can go a little bit more in depth as well, but I definitely will be doing this again with other items that I have been wanting to duplicate in my wardrobe. So yeah, now I will see you in the reveal.